to some scary movie.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. My name is Ben and I'm joined here with Matt. If you're unfamiliar with the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review. We give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. This week we're going to be talking about Nightbreed from 1990. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
Who's buried in Midian?
Ain't nothing but dead folk.
Somewhere, hidden from sight, closer than you might think, is a place that's not on any map. Midian.
Something's breeding there.
It looks a lot like hell, but they call it home.
There goes the neighborhood.
They're not pretty. They're not neighborly.
You'll come back now. You hear?
They're not even human. But this time, they're the good guys. From the imagination of Clive Barker comes Nightbreed.
You can't go down there.
They have only one enemy. A beast called man, sworn to destroy the Nightbreed.
Sounds like we're going head-to-head with the devil himself.
And only one chance. A man called Boone.
It's time to fight. Go get 'em, boys. I'll kill you all. What chance have we got? They're armed. So am I.
Out of your deepest fears and your darkest fantasies, Clive Barker brings you a startling new breed of adventure. I won't let you down. Nightbreed. At last, the night has a hero.
Outstanding.
Okay, so Nightbreed from 1990. Boone may be a troubled young man, but his troubles are just beginning. Set up as the fall guy in a string of slasher murders, he decides he'll hide by crossing the threshold that separates us from them and sneak into the forbidden subterranean realm of Midian. Boone will live among the monsters. So this is written and directed by Clive Barker. The main cast is Craig Sheffer, Anne Bobby, David Cronenberg and Hugh Ross, based on a novel called Cabal, also written by Clive Barker, scored by Danny Elfman with a runtime of 1:39 minutes. Just before we jump into it, I want to say I'm really excited for this episode, but I'm also a bit embarrassed. I'm excited for two reasons, because obviously I get to use my new soundboard.
Surprise, motherfucker. Surprise, motherfucker.
But yeah, excited because this is like one of my all-time favourite horror films, because this was the first horror I ever watched.
Oh, wow.
Really, really young. I must have been, God, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8, I don't know.
Right.
I was really young. It's quite interesting. When we get to the point in the movie, I want to talk about it, because my brother should have been watching me, like he was babysitting me, and he weren't, and I got into my dad's VHS tapes and I was watching it, and then my parents come home and it was like probably the most graphic part of the movie. They caught me.
Oh no. Because
Yeah.
it is in some ways a good gateway horror, but then it is there are some very, very gory parts as well. So it's a strange combination. I think the whole film's a strange combination, isn't it? Because it's got like what Clive Barker wanted, and then maybe what other people kind of wanted, and it's kind of got chopped up a few different ways. So you've got a bit of everything, but you've got some real extreme gore as well. So I'd imagine, parents not going to be like, just sit down and watch Nightbreed.
But I'm also embarrassed because obviously I've been watching this film for years and I love it. Absolutely love Clive Barker and all his work. Hellraiser's another big one for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise that there was a director's cut which has got a whole load more like extra scenes and bits here and there. So when I was doing my notes for this, I started seeing bits that I'd not heard of, and then I realised that there was I think, do they call it the Cabal cut? Or... There's
the Cabal cut, and I think there is a director's cut as well.
Right. Okay.
Possibly. I got a little bit confused. I did watch the director's cut or Cabal cut. I'm not sure which one. I watched the 2-hour one because I clicked on the opening of it, and it was like an introduction from Clive Barker and another gentleman whose name I can't remember, who did the restoration, who added it all the bits back in and sort of re-edited and took bits out to kind of get more what Clive Barker wanted.
Okay.
So the reason I did that was because I was really interested in what they were saying. I was like, oh, well, I might as well watch it now you've explained to me what you're doing. so I watched that. But I kind of went over and looked at the synopsis of the theatrical cut as well, just so that I knew how it would have looked like and roughly what it would have been like in the theatres. Because obviously this is my first watch of the film.
Yeah, I've only seen the theatrical cut because I thought that was the only one there was. So that's the one that I had on VHS tape, and that's the one that I've got on DVD now. So, but yeah, I see the alternative.
That's a bit more accessible as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
2 hours is a long time for...
Yeah, I would imagine there's probably bits when I'm going through the plot maybe you're not aware of, and maybe you might want to chime in with stuff that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, and I guess we're covering all our bases then.
Yeah. I've got both endings because there's an alternative ending, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there's a bit in where there's I think it's either mid scene or end a few days ago when I saw it now, but where there was like a mid-credit scene or after-credit scene that kind of changed things a little bit. But I don't think it's massively different. I think the sort of the impression I got was that the focus is more on the monsters being kind of sympathetic, and the heroes, I think that's really what he wanted to get across in this cut, the longer cut that I watched. So I thought that was interesting because straight away I was interested in that, because I was like one of my I read quite a lot of comics, and like Dark Phoenix is a brilliant X-Men comic that I've read quite a lot, and I was like, oh well, if it's kind of along that line of alienation and kind of being treated badly by the authorities because you're different, that'll be quite an interesting take on these monsters. And it's kind of, for me, it's almost there as well. I think it almost gets there with that. It's obviously, it's really, we'll dig more deeper into it. I'm just thinking, like, as an 8-year-old or revisiting it, you're going to see different things, obviously, aren't you?
Yeah.
But also, all the subtext and all the Clive Barker-y things that are kind of his hallmarks. You're not going to really know that when you're young. So, yeah, it was going to be really interesting to see if you've changed your opinion on anything or what you think about it now. Or it's just that some things, I think if there's nostalgia, it's just... that stays with you forever, and you love it no matter what.
It's always going to be.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a mix of genres, really, isn't it? Because it's fantasy, it's horror, but it's also a bit of a slasher, monster movie. Got that thriller aspect.
Cronenberg's character could have his own film, couldn't he? Doing his slashings, and he's got the mask, and he's all set up ready to be like a kind of masked slasher. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool actually.
I really like that mask. I think that's probably one of the most creepiest masks I've ever seen.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it? It's got a bit of a Watchmen kind of feel to it, that as well, I think.
Yeah.
It works.
And that's David Cronenberg. You actually see him acting, because we've covered The Fly by David Cronenberg, him directing, but this is, him actually starring. I'm not aware of his other films. I know about him directing, but him as an actor, I'm not too...
as an actor, I think he just carves out a niche of where a bit, you can get him to play sort of sleazy, cold, maybe not sleazy, but sort of like cold, scientific dissection kind of person, like kind of, I don't know, like there's somebody you could just see sort of slicing through an eyeball without any sort of flinching.
He's very emotionless. It's not,
Yeah, I think he's perfect for that kind of character. It's a really good character to have as well, where it's someone who you can should be able to trust, who you're sharing all your personal worries and issues and dreams nightmares, I suppose, that you're having, and he's using you to pin all the horrible things he's doing on you. What a great idea. That's a really... I don't know if it's a comment on psychiatry from Clive Barker. I don't know, because he loves to layer everything with loads of subtext, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting start to meet that character, psychiatrist you can't trust. There's probably loads of Americans who watch this, or British people watch this for the first time, who have never been to a psychiatrist because of this film.
I was going to ask what you think of Clive Barker's other films, but he's only got about 3.
Oh, in terms of directing,
obviously he did Hellraiser, but I've not seen Lord of Illusions, and I think that's pretty much it.
Lord of Illusion. It's a bit, I was going to say it's silly, but it's not silly. But it's like similar in the sense of the special effects are similar to Hellraiser. Lots of pulling apart and lots of kind of basically lots of S&M sort of type things going on. Lots of sort of grindy music, sort of industrial kind of music, which works in Lord. I like Lord of Illusion. It's got Bakula's in that. It's a kind of weird one because it's a kind of S&M sort of classic, like Chinatown or Philip Marlowe kind of detective kind of film, but with kind of weird creatures, and it's very Clive Barker. But yeah, I know that obviously he's written loads and had loads of films made from his work, but Lord of Illusion would be one that's probably seen the least, I'd imagine. Yeah. There's another one that he wrote based on his story that I saw recently, called Saint Sinner. It was like a time travel one. Okay. Kind of about, it's like a kind of a really sexual film, but about like a priest going back in time to kind of undo some things, getting trapped, falling in. It's not as good as Lord of Illusion, but it's an interesting one for like underseen Clive Barker ones that, films that aren't Hellraiser, basically.
I think, didn't he write Candyman as well?
Yeah. I hadn't mentioned, because I was hoping you were going to say ones like that, because obviously I'd just kind of gone down the sort of the rabbit hole of films that maybe people haven't seen as much, but much like Stephen King, where you'll look down his list of hundreds and hundreds of things and go, oh yeah, he did that as well. Oh yeah, and he did that one, and that one was a massive hit. That was an idea, and you're like, wow, yeah. So I was like, it's a bit like that. He's not on that scale, but there's definitely ones where you go, oh damn, like he did Candyman. He wrote Candyman. Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised.
And also, I think it's like a big group of people. Say that again.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I'm surprised that he hasn't done any more films, because Hellraiser, I mean, that's got to be one of the the biggest horror films there is. And then you see like the rest of his work, but he hasn't really. I mean, he's got quite a lot of books, I think. Like he's more of a writer than he is a director.
Yeah, a bit like Garth Marenghi, just like tons and tons of books, just kind of like... I love what horror writers of the 80s and 90s are, where it's like you can almost measure their output on how heavy the pile of books would be. Yeah. It's just like, I woke up this morning, done another book. it's like a lot of his work, not all of his work. I don't want to pigeonhole him too much because he's so creative, and I just think for him to be so mainstream and there to be so much fantasy and S&M and homoeroticism and celebrating his culture and the things he's into and like openly into, and still be mainstream is amazing. Really, it's like a testament to his creativity and interest. People can find lots of things in the film beyond the things that are his core interests himself. And also like the amount of creative people that he surrounds himself with. And you mentioned Danny Elfman. Like, this is such a good score.
Really surprising that Danny Elfman was scoring this one, because he typically does Tim Burton films. I mean, I got a whole list.
It's straight after Batman '89, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of the same. So I think he's even said some of the same, or some of the things he was going to use. So it's kind of bled over between the two films. So yeah,
I'll just run through. Obviously he's done so many films, but I'm just going to run through a little list that I've made of all Danny Elfman's work in case people don't know. So he scored A Nightmare Before Christmas, Batman, Batman Returns, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, Mars Attacks, Men in Black, the new Netflix series Wednesday, all of the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans 1, 2 and 3, and the new Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Mission Impossible, 50 Shades of Grey, and even Good Will Hunting.
Oh, what a film. I love that film, Good Will Hunting. Yeah, I really do. Also, Danny Elfman was in Oingo Boingo, the band who were like kind of almost like a Devo kind of 80s strange pop, electronic pop. Yeah. You mentioned The Simpsons? You said The Simpsons?
Oh, I haven't got that. No, yeah, I did see he did The Simpsons. Was that The Simpsons theme tune or the?
I think he does that, and I think he did because I used to have. I used to get all the Simpsons CDs. I think he did quite a lot of the ones like, like Stop the Planet of the Apes, I Want to Get Off, and all the kind of spoof movie ones that he did a lot of them.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's still doing it because it's so far down the road with Simpsons now, but he's so good. He's so talented. The choral sort of religious sounding theme of this, when I go back and listen to some of the ones which I did, some of the ones from Batman '89, it's that kind of same choral religious sounding. It works for both films. It's really, really good.
Most of Tim Burton's films are like that, really, aren't they? Beetlejuice and Scissorhands and everything, they're all very, like you say, orchestral, kind of dark sounding.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not a massive Tim Burton fan. I love Batman '89. It was like, I got the T-shirt, the poster when I was a kid. I was just, it was just amazing. Collected all the stickers, but I was never really into Beetlejuice, even though I know or Edward Scissorhands, even though Vincent Price. But I just could never really get into them, which is really strange because you think they'd be right up my street. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that is.
I was a bit disheartened to see that this film was not well received when it came out. The budget was 11 mil and it made a box office of 16, so it didn't really make anything. And Rotten Tomatoes have got a critics rating of 48%. But yeah, apparently it was a bit of a flop back in the day. I'm not sure what people would think of it now, but it wasn't well received at all.
I think it's kind of found its audience now, like a lot of things. I think even Clive Barker would say it maybe wasn't promoted the way that he wanted it to be. It wasn't necessarily realized the way he wanted it to be. So, being satisfied of, I think it was 2020 when they did the kind of almost like remix of the film. It obviously shows that he wasn't completely happy with how everything went with it. And maybe that's why he hasn't gone on and done as much kind of as a director. Because you've got more control over it. If you write it, it's exactly how you intend it.
I guess this would have been his last directing. I'm not sure when Lord of Illusions was made, but obviously Hellraiser was, 86 maybe?
Yeah, 87. I have a feeling it's 87, but 87? I'm pretty sure that... I feel like Lord of Illusion, with it being with Scott Bakula being in it, I'm just thinking along like Quantum Leap kind of timeline that it was maybe in the 90s. I'm just having a quick look, but Lord of Illusion, 95.
Oh, okay, so that would have been his last one.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't probably less well received than this. Almost identical, actually, in some ways, in terms of how it was received.
So the only other thing I wanted to talk about before we head into the plot was the filming locations. I think this was supposed to be set in Canada, and some filming was done in Canada, in Calgary, right. Alberta. But some of it, for the rest of it, was actually in Pinewood Studios.
Oh, okay. That's good. Because I saw Calgary and I was like, I've always wanted to go to Calgary, the Canadian Stampede there. Bret Hitman Hart's hometown. It's just an amazing place to me. Like, I've always wanted to go to Canada. So yeah, I didn't realise that some of it was in Pinewood. I mustn't have read on.
Yeah, and some other scenes, mainly the hospital one, was shot in Slough, in Wexham.
Wow, that sounds so exotic.
I know.
Slough. Do you know Pinewood Studios? My dad's uncle worked on set design in Pinewood Studios. This is going back to my dad's in his 80s. My dad in his sort of early, like maybe 12 or 13 or something. I don't know. I can't remember. And maybe even before they were called that. But all those studios around London, he used to take my dad around to have a look around all the different stages and things.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's must have been amazing.
Yeah. Wrexham Park Hospital that's in Slough. I think that's similar.
Oh, right.
Because there is a hospital scene in this, isn't there? So I'm assuming that's probably the Slough Hospital.
Oh, right. That's weird. Because he's never
far from me,
really, being from Liverpool. Originally, Clive Barker, most people from Liverpool are just like, I'm from Liverpool, like singing it from the rooftops. They're very proud to be from Liverpool. And he's never, like, not that I'm aware of, and I think he does have a theatre company or was part of a theatre company with people like Doug Bradley and other people in Liverpool. And I think he does give back a little bit in terms of, the area. But none of his films are like set in Liverpool with a Scouser as the main character or anything. Just kind of skews towards the American, doesn't it? Or in this case, I suppose Canadian.
Right, yeah. No, that's all I've got, unless you got anything you want to add before we head into the spoilers.
Not really, other than the cinematography. This isn't really a kind of... It's certainly not a spoiler, and it's probably not even count as trivia. But I just thought it was quite interesting that the cinematographer, Robin Vidgeon, was assistant camera operator on Raiders of the Lost Ark and second unit on Event Horizon. Mm-hmm. So I was like, there's definitely some S&M-y kind of parts to Event Horizon. And I was like, he's a really good cinematographer. I was like, the cinematography on this is very good. That burnt orange and purple colour. So I did want to mention that. And I think we've covered everything else. Other than Craig Sheffer was in Turbulence 3, heavy metal. Like haunted aeroplane film, which is, I don't know, either amazing or terrible depending on how you look at really bad movies. And I just and also I was thinking there's quite a lot of the people who work on the film with him. He tends to take around and work on other films with him, or have gone on and been really successful. So like Chris Cunningham, who worked on the production design in this, did the music videos for all the Aphex Twin, Come to Daddy and things like that, which were kind of definitely horror influenced. And Bob Keane did makeup on Hellraiser. The Ralph McQuarrie, who did a lot of the matte paintings, did a lot of the backgrounds for these as well. I think he did the Star Wars ones, the Star Wars backgrounds, when they were just like matte paintings, which I thought were really cool. And those were the things I really wanted to kind of just highlight, really, because I was like, wow, he's got a real collective of creative people around him, or people he's kind of given a chance to, and then have gone on and done really great things. And I'm sure you'll tell me more of that as we go through, and maybe in the trivia as well. So yeah, I've only got one piece of trivia again.
I was just thinking, actually, I just thought of saying, because obviously Danny Elfman works a lot with Tim Burton, and you're aware, I know you said you don't really like Tim Burton's films, but you're aware of Coraline.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy, and those people have buttons for eyes, which is similar to Decker in this, you know.
Oh yeah.
Creepy mask.
Speaking of like things that kind of, you know, you said that there's the eyes, and in Danny Elfman film, and I was thought about this as well, was that the editor actually edited an X-Men film, The Last Stand, and I was like, I could crossover with X-Men in this film, particularly like, I know I mentioned Dark Phoenix, which I think has never really been realised in film as well as it could be. And I think they tried it twice, if I can remember correctly. I think the first one was The Last Stand, where they tried to get bits of Dark Phoenix in there. And Mark Goldblatt, the editor, actually did that. He also did Starship Troopers and Terminator 2, which is pretty amazing. But I just thought, I'll mention that, because there's loads of it here with like that kind of being ostracized and put, you know, sort of marginalized and treated badly because you're different, even when you're not bothering anyone, you're just kind of doing your own thing in your graveyard. So yeah, I just thought I'm going to probably bang on about X-Men a lot here, but yeah, that was my thing.
Cool.
That was interesting. I didn't realize about Coraline, but yeah, now you say it, I can see those button eyes.
Button eyes.
Creepy.
All right, you ready to jump into the spoilers?
Yeah, let's jump.
Cool.
Hold my hand. Let's go.
Spoiler warning.
All right, so Aaron Boone dreams of Midian, a city where monsters are accepted. At the request of girlfriend Laurie, Boone is seeing psychotherapist Dr. Philip Decker, a serial killer who convinces Boone that he committed Decker's murders. Decker drugs Boone with LSD disguised as lithium and orders Boone to turn himself in. But before he can do so, Boone is struck by a truck and taken to hospital. Taken to Slough.
No.
What do you think of this opening scene?
Yeah.
Well, it starts with the credits, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like the credits where you see things that happen in the film. It reminded me of the Marvel opening, except this is chronological order of the film. I looked it up. I was like, what's happening in the credits of Nightbreed? And it's like it's chronicle order of what's happening or what's going to happen in parts of the film. I think that looks really, really good. So I like that. Yeah. In my version, I think the first thing that happens is the dream chase. Is that the same thing that happens in the
yeah, where it kind of cuts in between the field where the monsters are running towards the big gate. Yeah. I
saw the woman and I was like, oh no, it's cats. I thought I was watching Cats again. Which I think I've only ever walked out of 2 films, and I think I managed to leave Cats after 2/3. And I was like, oh, she reminds me of Cats. I was having like Vietnam flashbacks to Cats. It worried me.
So what do you think of David Cronenberg as Decker? What do you reckon of his acting? He's very stern and serious.
Yeah, he's not like over the top. He's not. It's a bit like we said before. He's great as like a doctor kind of character in any sense of a doctor. He's got that kind of clinical coldness, makes you kind of shudder. He'd be the last person you'd want if you went to your GP and it was like, Dr. Cronenberg will see you now. You'd be like, I don't want to have my prostate exam today, thank you.
Yeah.
Or ever.
Yeah, he goes into his jacket or his briefcase or something, just pulls out a bottle of pills, and he's like, "Here, take these." He's like, "Yeah, you don't need no prescription or anything. No, just take these."
Yeah, all doctors just have them in the pockets. Yeah, ready to go. Oh my word! Yeah, he's really good. He elevates the film for me. He's really good in it. Yeah. There's an extra thing where I think people are watching it know he's David Cronenberg as well. So there's that.
Yeah,
you're getting a few different levels there.
So in hospital, Boone overhears the rants of Narkis. Is that how you would pronounce his name? I don't think they ever say his name in the film, unless it's in your version.
No. What up, Narkis?
Narkis.
No.
So
like
yeah.
Norman, cheers.
I'm going to call him Narkis. A seemingly insane man who seeks to enter Midian. He, convinced that Boone is there to test him, Narkis gives Boone directions to the hidden city before tearing the skin off his face in order to show his true face. He is quickly subdued by hospital staff and Boone leaves. So this was the scene that I was on about when I'm little Ben, about 6 or 7 years old, sat about 1 foot away from the TV, watching this guy peel the skin off his face, and then Mum and Dad come wandering in.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's not the moment.
Yeah,
that was literally, it is quite. I think I even wrote that down. Like, there's lots in common with Labyrinth and X-Men, and it is quite a gateway horror, but then there is also someone pulling their sort of face and head apart.
I mean, so, I wasn't fazed by it whatsoever.
No.
And then my dad was like, "Oh, well, he's watched that. You may as well watch Hellraiser." Like,
yeah, let's get you into the full series.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I love practical effects so much. I started young watching, these. But, yeah.
Well, once you can separate the fact that that's a movie, don't want to ruin it for anybody, but this is a movie. And then you can get away with it, can't you? You can kind of watch whatever and accept certain things with a proviso of, I'm not going to be petrified and hide under the bed because I know it's a practical effect, and a lot of these practical effects, they're just the right side of, I know that's not real. It's not like they're things that are just kind of normal everyday stuff.
Yeah,
because this doesn't happen.
Okay, so Boone makes his way to Midian, a city beneath a massive graveyard in the middle of nowhere. Upon encountering supernatural creatures Kinski and Pelequin. Kinski says they should bring him below, but Pelequin refuses to allow in a normal human. Boone claims to be a murderer, but Pelequin smells his innocence and attacks him. Yeah, man, they've all got funny names.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a murderer. Let me in.
Yeah,
I'm honest. I'm really tough, and I'm like proper hard.
Pelequin, he's the red one with like the dreadlocks. Yeah, he really likes meat, doesn't he? He must have said it about 5 times. Meat, fresh meat.
Yeah, there's lots of swearing as well, isn't there? Like, there's lots of like very British kind of liberal use of swearing, not in an American kind of way. I just think it's quite funny the way that swearing is used as like punctuation. We can tell that the source material's British. Loves to swears.
So I'm assuming that's probably like one of the main ways to. I know I'm jumping ahead a bit, but you see Pelequin bite Boone. I'm assuming that's probably like one of the main ways to become a Nightbreed. Yeah. Because they all seem really different, don't they? Like when you go down and you see all the others, they're not the same. Like all the people in the Nightbreed are completely different. So I'm wondering if they all have their unique ways of making someone else become one of them.
Oh man, it's it's really good how they do that. How it is, there's lots of unique, creative characters, very similar to like Hellraiser. You know, that's what people love about it. It's like, oh, this one, you know, fires a CD out of his mouth or whatever. No, like you know, there's all these different kind of things to kind of almost like collect. It's almost made for collectors. Oh, I've got a model of this, and it's interesting because we've moved so far away from that because of things like, example, Ant-Man Quantumania. They go to somewhere and they are surrounded by all these aliens, and none of them are interesting. Like, none of it is like, if you're not going to do the Cantina Band from Star Wars and introduce each of them and show their unique things, and like, if we've done that in the 70s and 80s, and we're in 2023, and people are bored to see your aliens and your sets of where you are, and when just don't do it, or think more around it, or make it, or kind of do something a little bit more creative and practical. Like, it's amazing the difference, because these characters are really interesting to look at and kind of work out what's going on with them. Like, what's wrong? Not what's wrong with them, but because I'm accepting of of monsters. I'm on the side of the monsters. But yeah, you're looking at them, and they're all so different. Maybe it's almost like who they've been kind of sired by kind of impacts their DNA and changes the way they, you know, the things that make them different. I suppose it's just like X-Men again. It's just like, you know, they all have their own individual mutations, don't they?
Yeah.
Boone's Wolverine.
I really like the porcupine-looking lady.
Oh yeah, is she the one that I thought was like Cats? Do you think?
Yeah.
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 Decker's Magneto, not in the way he looks, but in the way he acts.
Yeah. So Boone escapes, only to encounter a squad of police officers led by Decker. Boone is.
Is that a boo sound effect or a cheer sound effect?
That's boo. This is cheer.
That's good for me, because if I don't know the difference, then whatever I do, I'm going to be happy, aren't I? We're like, are you booing? Are you saying boo earns?
Wait a minute.
Oh, you've got a new tie now. That's
I know. Right. So yeah, Boone gets gunned down after Decker tricks the police into believing that Boone is armed. Due to Pelican's bite, Boone returns to life in the morgue. When he returns to Midian, he finds Narcus there and is inducted to their society by the Nightbreed's leader, Dirk Leisberg.
That's definitely a Garth Marenghi name. That's a great one, yeah. Dirk Leisberg.
In an initial ceremony, Boone is touched by the blood of their deity. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Baphomet. Yeah. What even is Decker's job? Because he's like a psychiatrist, seems to be some kind of pharmacist, and now he's some kind of detective that leads.
It's like a consultant, isn't he, for the detectives? He just walks into their offices. Yeah. I noticed all the way through the film, he's kind of like touching the stuff on their desks and looking at their pictures, just wandering around like he owns the place. Like any sort of police chief or army person worth their salt, just be like, do you mind? Like, I don't even know who you are. You've got nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
He'll just say something like, oh yeah, I know loads about Midian, and they're like, yep, seems legit. Come along for the ride. You're with us.
Seeking to understand why Boone left her, Laurie investigates Midian. She befriends a woman named Cheryl Ann and drives to the cemetery with her. Leaving Cheryl Ann at the car, Laurie explores the cemetery where she finds a dying wolf-like creature. A woman named Rachel, a Nightbreed with the power to transform into smoke, pleads from the shadows for Laurie to take it out of the sunlight. Once in the shadows, it transforms into a little girl, Rachel's daughter, Babette.
It's amazing, isn't it? They have all these names, like really technical. Well, no, and then there's like, and meets this creature called Rachel. It's like we've got Narcissus, we've got Peliquin. We've got Rachel and her kid, Emma or whatever it is. Like it's just like we've got these great names. I've run out of great names. Just call her Rachel.
That's all. Fine. Used them all.
Yeah,
used all the names.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever watched Key and Peele, the East Coast West Coast Bowl, where they're coming up with all the names, like Hingle McCringleberry, and so good. Yeah, guys, if you just Google East Coast West Coast Bowl.
What did you think of little Babette when she was like a weird looking wolf creature?
Oh, yeah.
It looks more like
a bit creepy.
Yeah, it's like a shaven dog, and it's just kind of I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit like, when you sometimes see things that have just been born and maybe they've been born a little bit too soon, like a little creature that's been born a little bit too soon. It's that kind of, Do
you know what it reminded me of, actually? It actually reminded me of like the final scene in The Fly, where you see it like fully transformed. You see their massive eyes, and the shape of their head. That's what it reminded me of, like the Brundlefly.
All I can think of now is a giving birth scene from The Fly.
What, a maggot?
Yeah. Don't know why that popped into my head, but yeah. Because, obviously we've kind of been into Midian, and we're going to go into it even more, aren't we? And I think it has that kind of Eastern bazaar kind of feel, where everything is completely different to the next thing. And again, the burnt orange, I think, filters help that as well. But when it's quite jarring when it cuts back to Decker, because he is full on S&M scarecrow. Like he's just kind of, he doesn't fit in, does he? He's not a monster in the sense of the other monsters, like kind of weird and cool looking. He's just like in his own film, being a slasher, and being a kinky slasher. I found that quite jarring when it came back to him, quite scary actually, when he's like killing, is it Lorianne? She's called Lorianne. No, not Lorianne, something Anne. Caroline?
Something like that. Sherilyn.
We're for every Anne, but yeah. Because it's Laurie that's the singer, isn't it? And I use singer in inverted commas.
Oh, you see, that's one of the bits that I didn't have in my one.
Oh, right.
I see. I
Johnny
see.
Get Angry.
Yeah, I see. That was an added scene, but that wasn't in my one.
You didn't miss much. Like,
was it something like she plays in a band or something, and she sings?
Yeah, it's like Johnny Get Angry.
Oh,
I was thinking, if Ben's like, when I was a kid, I was so into Johnny Get Angry, it was the best song ever, and because I think Danny Elfman wrote it, I was like, I'm just gonna have to kind of nod and smile, but I thought it was terrible.
Was that like right at the beginning of the film for you?
Yeah, like Boone goes to watch her just after he's taken the LSD, and he's kind of tripping balls, and right. she's on stage singing Johnny Get Angry, and he's kind of like getting into it a little bit, and then he gets a bit sweaty, and then he goes outside and gets hit by a truck.
Oh, okay.
Which
right.
actually is preferable to listening to that song. He was like, maybe he jumped under the truck. What do you think of my music? There's going to be an encore. I'll be right back.
Because for me, it was like he took that in the doctors, went outside and got hit by the truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So. Clive Barker's like, we've got to have this scene back in. It's really important. Danny Elfman's got a gun to his head, like going, "What about my song?
Yeah, please
Johnny
make it stop."
Angry.
Okay, so Laurie asks about Boone, but is rebuffed by Leisberg and scared off by Peliquin. While leaving the cemetery, Laurie discovers Sherilyn's corpse and her killer, Decker. Decker attempts to use Laurie to draw Boone out of hiding. Boone rescues Laurie, and Decker learns Boone cannot be killed due to his transformation. Decker escapes, and Boone takes Laurie into Midian. I found that quite funny when he was desperate for him to come out so he can fight, stabs him once, and he's like, "Ugh," and then he just runs away.
Runs away. Decker runs away. There's like a lot happening in a very small space in there as well, isn't it? It feels almost like an old kind of, not Hammer film, but maybe one like, I think there's one called The Gorgon, that an old, and literally everything happens in this very, very small stage. It almost looks like a stage, like a theatre stage. And I got that from this little bit. They're all just kind of running around a very small area. Also, I seemingly, when they cut back to Midian, I just realised that even in Midian, this is so 80s, even in Midian, everyone's smoking. Like, they smoke above land, we smoke in the real world, the baddies smoke, the goodies smoke, the people in Midian smoke. So if the people in Midian smoke, or the monsters in Midian smoke, they must go out for supplies.
Yeah.
Unless they've got an own little cigarette factory going on in Midian.
Peliquin just nips down to the corner shop for some ciggies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so strange because it's like, it all ties in with like everything sexy is smoking in the 80s, isn't it? It's like like the bad guy has to smoke because he's evil, the good guy has to smoke because he's cool. Sexy people smoke because they're sexy. Oh my word. We could do the non-smoking cut and the film would be down to like 5 minutes.
Rachel, which one's Rachel? Oh, the mist one, smoke one. So, smoking again. Rachel explains to Laurie that monsters of folklore were peaceful beings who were hunted to near extinction by humans. Leisberg banishes Boone and Laurie from Midian. Decker learns how to kill the Nightbreed and murders the residents of the hotel where Boone and Laurie are staying. Boone discovers the crime scene. He uncontrollably drinks the blood, and the police find Boone and take him into custody.
Silly boy. You just hold it back. Just don't do it. Don't drink it, and you won't look as guilty.
Yeah.
But I guess they're gonna go for him anyway because that's the whole point is really, isn't it? It's building to that. The only place of acceptance for someone like Boone, whether he is one of them or not, or halfway between the two places, is that he has to leave the natural world, the everyday, to be accepted. These people are going to persecute him for who he is. Again, that comes back to the theme of the different people or people with different lifestyles being treated unfairly and violently, and it's that I think that's really important message in that Clive Barker is he's not afraid of kind of like sharing his lived experience and things that he doesn't agree with in a very creative way without whacking you over the head with it. So like your 8-year-olds are not going like, I don't understand why. No, they're not. You're just like, this is cool. I can see why you thought this was cool when you were 8.
Yeah. That woman at the front desk, she was making a right job of that cake that she dropped on the floor, wasn't she?
Yeah. Oh my word. That was more disgusting than a lot of like other things in the film. Just eating it off, fingers in it on the floor. She's like, I don't know if you've ever watched Seinfeld. It's like when George eats the cream cake that's on top of the rubbish, and it's like, and everyone's like, oh, he's at the cream cake. He's like, no, it was just sitting on top. It wasn't in the trash. It was sitting on top. It made me feel like that. Like things like that stay with me. Like I don't like that. That creeped me out. It was the most disgusting creative effect in the film. Dirty girl. I did notice a couple of errors in the. Are they both in the hotel? Yeah, both in the hotel bit. I noticed a couple of things that they messed up on. Obviously, when she drops that cake, she goes down to pick it up, and you can see Decker's feet right in front of the desk. So he stood right in front of her, and all she does is stand up, and he's gone, and he comes out of the room behind her. Somehow managed to. Michael Myers.
Yeah, like his feet are there. All she does is stand up to look at him, and he jumps out of the room that's behind the desk. So that didn't make sense. And another one.
Has Decker got any special? I couldn't work this out. Has Decker got any special powers other than just being an evil bastard?
No, just an evil bastard.
Yeah. I was going to say bastard, and I was like, because maybe we can say we're more diverse. This is a very diverse podcast because you're from down south and you say bastard, and I'm from I'm northern and I'm like Sean Bean and I say bastard.
I was about to say that, yeah. Sean Bean. From the north, we say bastard.
Bastard. Yeah. He is though. Not Sean Bean. I'm sure he's lovely, but Decker is a bastard, isn't he?
Oh yes. The other thing I noticed as well, when I can't remember which room it is. It's either the room they've booked and they go into it, or it's the room of the murders. One of them. Anyway, when Boone opens the door, you can actually see someone behind the door that kind of like runs with it, like just only very, very just out of shot, but you can kind of just see the back end of him kind of creep out of the shot.
I love stuff like that. I absolutely love it. Like when somebody is leaving us, they've edited it so poorly that like someone is leaving the scene and still in it.
Yeah.
It's just great. Yeah, that makes a film for me. I didn't spot that, but I'll have to have a look later.
Yeah, I rewound it like 5 times.
Taken out of the Cabal cut.
I had to like slow-mo it, and I was like, "There he is."
There's one like that in that I didn't spot. I never spot these things. I was watching Basket Case 3 with a friend of mine, and he was just like, "Do you see what happened to the truck when it went round the corner?" And I'm sure it's like all the sort of monsters are all on this like sort of farmer style truck, like open back where you put hay bales, and I'm pretty sure right as they go around the corner, one of the monsters just falls off the side of the truck because it's just a model. He's like, "Did you see that?" I was like, "No, missed it completely." This is why I need you, Ben, to point these things out.
I love noticing things like that in films. I think it's because all the Marvel films, there's like millions of Easter eggs like hiding behind things, and he's like, "Oh, there it is."
Well, this was the thing when DVD was first a thing. You go on to websites, print off a page of Easter eggs, and you'd have to be like, up, okay, down, press 1, 2, 3, and it'll open up a special clip of someone falling over or this thing happening. And it's like literally like an Easter egg. I'd break it open to find the treat I suppose it's Kinder Egg. But like, yeah, most Easter eggs have things in them, don't they? So yeah, now it's easier though. It's so easy that nobody pays any attention to any of these things that are on, unless it's in the actual film. I don't think as many people watch extras as they used to do. I went out of my way of watching all the extras on this, which took ages. So I hope you appreciate this. I was like, they're one of Ben's favourite films. I'm going to watch all 12 hours of extras.
Well, I was like that. I went on YouTube and it was like alternative ending. I was like, alternative ending? What? So that's it. I was straight on YouTube. I was like, oh my god, how have I gone this amount of years and I've not known? But yeah, that's interesting.
Sometimes it's good to I think I've maybe got to the point where I'm like, I think there's a reason why this is alternative ending, or the reason why this isn't used is because it's not as good.
Yeah.
Whereas like it used to be when these things, when you first watched them and it was unusual to get to see things, you go, oh, that was really cool, or that was an extra scene that was really good. I think you get to the point where you go, oh, I know why they left that out. Like, I totally get why they didn't need that. Like, for example, we didn't really need Laurie singing Johnny Get Angry. If people are a massive fan of that, like I bought that on 45 and I have a poster of her singing it, then they can sound off in the comments, as they say. But yeah, you can see why some things are left out.
Yeah. Well, I watched this with Lana and she's read the book Cabal, and when it ended, I was like, such a good film. And she was like, yeah, it's good, but that's not how it ends in the book. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a bit weird, seeing that Clive Barker wrote it and directed it and everything. But yeah, and that's when
it's
I found
never going to compare to the book, is it?
No, but I think maybe your ending would have been the ending in the book.
Okay. Right. Because I was just thinking about that. Like people talk about Godfather being one of the greatest films of all time, and I made the mistake of reading the book a good few years before I watched the film. And I watched the film and I was like totally like not uninterested. I appreciated it, but I was a bit like, yeah, it's not as good as the hours and hours I took reading that book. Well, of course not. It's not going to be on that level of detail. I'm not going to have that same relationship. It's not going to have the same pictures in my head as the film. So yeah, it's like Christine as well. Like I read the book of Christine before I saw the film. I love that book. But
I love that movie.
Well, that's it. We'll have to have a fight.
I don't really read books.
And that was only because it was just one of the few sort of interesting looking books at my local library.
Yeah.
Just completely by chance, just started with that interesting picture of a car on the front. But again, yeah, it's hard sometimes, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. It's hard sometimes to kind of look at them as two separate entities, and that's really what is the fair thing to do.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to watch a 12-hour film.
Yeah. Right, so where were we? At Decker's urging, the police form a militia led by Police Captain Eigerman.
Yeah.
A drunken priest named Ashbury joins them as God's servant in their upcoming battle against Midian.
Wow.
Laurie, Rachel, and Narkis rescue Boone, and the four return to Midian, where Boone convinces the Nightbreed to fight. Yeah. What do you think of Rachel's power? Her turning into smoke and going through doors, and I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. I didn't think much of it. I did at the time, but now you've said it, yeah, it's pretty cool. I was more interested in like the priest and Eigerman. I felt like we were going a bit on like Police Academy kind of thing. You know, we were going a little bit more not comedic, but like Charles Hayde. Charles Hayde. He's mentioning. I'm going to mention him in my one trivia piece, so I won't ruin it. But he reminded me a bit of like Tackleberry from Police Academy, just like all about guns and like wanting to shoot stuff up. Weapon obsessed kind of guy, and it borderline could have been quite funny. And the same goes for the priest, I guess. Yeah. That did sound a bit like you were telling me a joke, like a captain and a drunk priest walk into a bar.
Yeah, I mean,
the priest guy didn't do much for me. He didn't really stand out.
Nah, me neither. No, it was. Yeah, it weren't funny, but it was somewhat entertaining because they like bolt the door, the big steel door, whatever it was, and no one's getting through there, and then the smoke comes through, and then there's naked ladies there, and they're like, "Oh," and then she kills them. So
yeah, she was smart in how she knew what they were interested in, and made them look very silly.
Yeah.
Silly men.
During the battle, Ashbury learns that there are women and children amongst the Nightbreed. When he tries halting the attack, he is beaten by Eigerman. Ashbury finds the idol of Baphomet and swears allegiance to it. When he is splashed by its blood, he is burned and transformed. Yeah. I didn't realise he was transformed. I thought he just got burnt. Is that all you need to do then? Because I know we said earlier that you get bitten or whatever, but he just got a bit of blood to the face, a bit of special blood.
I feel like maybe in the book all of this is very clear and very obvious and very set out. The same with the priest. I bet the priest is a really well written, important, interesting character in the book, but is kind of just kind of glossed over and moved on to as we get closer and closer to the big battle, which is all that really matters at this point. so like you said, I'm not quite sure the ins and outs of. It's not like vampirism, is it? It's not as simple as that. There's more to it, and I'm sure it's really well explained in the book.
So this scene where they're having a battle, you get to see the porcupine lady in action. Yeah. Once again, we've just had the naked smoke lady, and now we got some naked porcupine lady, and they're both, very much, they know what the men want.
Yeah, I mean, like Clive Barker's like, I feel like I need to put a couple of almost naked women in this if we're going to get anybody watching this in certain places, certain parts of of the world or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll do a Trojan horse, and then we'll get all the homoeroticism in really subtly, and the other guys, they'll be too stupid to notice.
Yeah. He's like, right, now show him your boobs.
Yeah.
And now kill him.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
It's just like showing how stupid heterosexual people are.
Yeah.
That's not wrong. Not wrong.
Yeah. So Boone learns from Leisberg that Baphomet plans to destroy Midian. Boone argues to release the Berserkers, a monstrous feral breed that were imprisoned due to their insanity. When Leisberg is killed before he can open the cage, Boone releases them and the Berserkers turn the tide of battle. Decker confronts Boone and he is killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're past the part where Boone gets shot about 1,000 times, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, make sure he's dead.
Yeah.
But he gets his own back here, though. So yeah,
I do like that. I do like that fight scene between Boone and Decker, because Decker like stabs him with his great big long machete through his back, and then Boone just kind of grabs him and pulls him into the blade. And then pushes him off.
Yeah, it's quite creative, that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's cool. But you get some great visual shots of the underground city of Midian when they're fighting. You know, the big rope bridges and stuff like that. Who did you say was the artist for that? The visual.
So there's a few people involved in the sort of the model making and the set design and things like that. But I think the thing that stood out for me was the Ralph McQuarrie matte paintings, the backgrounds, which I don't know whether we see that anymore. I suppose the modern equivalent of that is like those big sort of curved backing screens that they use for things like The Mandalorian that are like sort of almost like photorealistic. But sometimes for me, photorealistic doesn't mean like isn't as good as kind of looking at something that's been painted, but it's been painted so creatively, so artistically. It's a beautiful work of art. So it's a balance, I guess. But yeah, Midian is like lots of purples and oranges, burnt orange. It's really quite an epic place. Do you feel like they spend enough time in Midian, or too much time, or what do you think about it? Like, is it the right balance?
I think it's the right balance. Yeah, I think you don't want too much, but
it's like 1990, but there's so much smoke in this. It could be an 80s film.
Yeah,
there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah, because you only get glances at it throughout, don't you? Throughout the first half of the film.
True.
So it's mainly towards the end where you spend a lot of time. No, I think it's all right. It's the right amount.
Yeah, because it could be quite. Because it is quite. Even though it looks really nice, it is quite dark. It is quite a darkly lit wherever they're in Midian, because obviously it's like an underworld, isn't it? Really,
it's really big. Yeah, you get lots of different like rooms and corridors and stuff like that. You know, the huge room that was it Baphomet? Is it? Yeah, Baphomet. That huge bit that one's in. But you also see all the drawings on the walls.
Yeah, I like things like that for some reason, where there's like not a lair as such, but like a kind of round place for a group of people to be. It's like, I don't know, I like that kind of thing. I like anything where there's a kind of limitation of where they can and can't go. It very clearly defines their areas. It's a bit like, I suppose that's why I used to like playing games like Command and Conquer. You're moving from one little area to another area and things like that, and they're all very clear, clearly defined. But it's a really sort of orangey more than it is. I know I was reading, like I said, about purple. I think it's more orangey than anything else, isn't it? The colour, it's like a kind of smoky, orange. I do like it.
You get kind of a good amount of time with each kind of monster creature as well. You know, with most films, you know, you get a few mains and then a brief shot of others. But, you know, I'm thinking mainly like the scene where when Laurie first goes down into Midian when she's looking for Boone, she's literally going from room to room to room to room down this long corridor, and you're getting to see each of these individual monsters and what they're about. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And there's one of them who's like a proper sort of perv, really. And he's always like just trying to touch her up. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I guess it's just one of those things. Like, I got to take my chances. Like, no, even in Midian, there is such a thing as consent. It exists. You can't just say I'm a monster. I do weird stuff. When the whole point of the film is that we're going to like normalize these monsters and they're good people and they're good creatures and they don't harm and they're minding their own business. And he's just like, oh, let's have a touch of this woman. Like, no, leave her alone. You weirdo. Boone doesn't at one point. Boone has to like tell him to back off a little bit.
Yeah. Creepy monsters.
I like these nice monsters. I like my monsters. I don't mind creepy, disgusting, horrible monsters, but sort of sleazy sex pest monsters I'm not a fan of.
Disgusting!
It's disgusting. Exactly. One for our Scottish listeners there.
When Boone faces Baphomet says that Boone has caused the end of Midian, which has been foretold. Baphomet charges Boone with finding a new home for the Nightbreed and renames him Cabal.
Ooh.
Oh,
that'd be a good name for a book.
Yeah, like, I don't know. If it's been foretold and they knew that Boone was the reason that Midian was going to end, then why did they let him in? Why would they not?
Why were they so like?
Sorry, don't let him join the Nightbreed then.
Yeah, and they were so like uninterested in him being there, and like didn't trust him, and didn't like they weren't on board. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Or maybe it was inevitable that Midian was going to end either way.
All part of the plan.
They need him. They need him as a leader.
The three cuts of this film.
Yeah.
The three cuts of this film are all inevitable. All make perfect sense. And they all lead to the fact that Boone is Cabal and Boone is the main leader. Ready for a sequel. Let's go.
Okay, right, we're at the end now. So Boone leaves Midian with Laurie and meets with the remaining Nightbreed in a barn, where he says his goodbyes to Narkis and promises to find a place where they will be safe. In the ruins of Midian, Ashbury stands in front of Decker's corpse and states he wants vengeance on Baphomet and the breed. When he presses Baphomet's blood into Decker's wound, Decker springs back to life. He screams and Ashbury repeatedly hollers hallelujah. Hallelujah. But I think that ending was different to yours.
Yeah, doesn't like I go and ask him if he can help him or something, and
I've got another ending here. I'm going to read this one. You tell me.
I'm so confused.
Tell me whether this. Tell me if this is your ending, because that one was what I saw. So Narkis is killed earlier in the battle by Decker, so he's not present during the subsequent events. The Nightbreed await Boone in a barn whilst Boone says his goodbyes to Laurie, as he must find a new home for the Nightbreed. Boone promises to return to her, but knowing that Boone will retain his youth and immortality, she will grow old. Laurie suddenly stabs herself, forcing Boone to resurrect her as a Nightbreed, and they profess their love for one another and begin their journey. And then Boone and Laurie appear together as a part of a prophecy in a Nightbreed painting.
Well, I definitely remember thinking like, oh, this is where Boone becomes Moses, or Jesus, or a bit of both. Moses. Oh no, that doesn't work. I was going to say Moses. It doesn't work. If you flip their names together, it doesn't work.
When I went on YouTube to find the alternative, and then I had to watch that one, the one where she stabs herself.
Right. I don't remember her stabbing herself.
No.
I don't remember that, but I might have just not been paying attention. I'm so confused. I definitely, there's I remember right near the end that Decker, like Eigerman's like kind of just sort of dying off somewhere, and Decker's comes back to life, and he's like, I'm gonna kind of get my revenge, and Eigerman's like, oh, that sounds amazing, take me with you, and he's like, nope, and kills him. That's what I remember, and obviously then Boone going off to find them somewhere to live peacefully, and then it starts playing Johnny Get Angry, and I remember that at the end.
Oh, really? All right. Well, that's it. That is Nightbreed. Wow. That's all of it.
I'm as confused as the person who probably tried to piece it back together again in 2020.
Say what?
You wanted to do that for ages.
I have. I've really wanted
to say what.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and rate this one. This is probably going to get the highest rating it's ever had, ever.
11 out of 10.
I'm not giving it a 10, but I am going to give it a 9. And I was going to give it Porcupine Monsters because I couldn't think of anything else. So,
wow.
Sexy porcupine monsters.
Sexy porcupines.
So, yeah, obviously, it means a lot to me. It's my first horror film, and I think it's kind of stayed with me over the years, and it's really hard for me to give it, anything lower than that. So, yeah, I guess I can thank it, because I love horror, and this was my first horror, so in a way it's kind of introduced me into it, and, I mean, what an introduction. I mean, there could have been a million bad films to watch, but,
wow.
Yeah, but, yeah, and then I was really shocked that when I was doing my research that it wasn't received very well. I don't know why. I think it's still a great film. Clive Barker, the man responsible for Hellraiser, amazing writer, amazing director. Danny Elfman, the sound behind it, one of the biggest names in music in cinema, and the visual and practical effects are top notch. So overall, I think it was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I think when you put it like that, all the pieces are there. There are lots of things to like about it. So do you want my score, or have you got anything else you want to say about your score?
No, go for it. Yeah, go for your score. What you're going to give it?
Because I don't want to because I gave it a 6. But I don't think it's a bad film. Oh, great. More cheering. Amazing. Thanks for the cheer. I think the theme for me was like that normalcy is subjective, and I think that's really important. So I think it's got all the right pieces in it. I mean, it's got good ideas behind it, good source material, interesting director, writer, great creative effects, the music, all the things that you said I agree with. For me, it doesn't quite fit together into a great film. I think it's I'm not even sure, from watching that director's cut and then looking at the other cut and going through it, I'm not sure that anyone knows the right way to put those pieces together to make it, for me, like a 9 out of 10 film. But that's not to say that, a bit like I said before about Young Guns and films like that, I love certain films and I love them because I love them and my experience with them. So I'm not like, oh, I can't believe you gave it. I totally understand why you gave it a 9. But it's different watching a film, I suppose, at 8, and I'm watching it at 43 for the first time. But I did enjoy it. I really did get a lot out of it. I enjoyed researching it, watching all the. It's been ages since I've sat and watched all the extras on a Blu-ray. So that was fascinating. In fact, it made me then go and watch another recommendation of yours. And I watched The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I watched all the extras on that as well. And I love that film, by the way. Spoiler. But awesome. Yeah, I love that film. It was really interesting. It was great. Again, underwater kind of or underground lair thing. Yeah. It wasn't Midian, but. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
This will be our last podcast.
Well, you're wrong, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have I'm allowed to be wrong. Yeah. Clive Barker would accept that, I'm sure. No, he probably wouldn't. He'd be like, you've not seen the right cut of the film.
Do you reckon this would be a good remake to be done nowadays?
Yeah, I do, because there is definitely a Labyrinth, X-Men kind of gap there for this. That doesn't have to be Marvel. It doesn't have to be a Marvel property. We're at the point now where we're trotting out every single, and I love comics and I love Marvel. I was brought up with Marvel and DC, love them, but we don't have to trot out every. It used to be amazing to see a character with powers in a film. Now every film has powers. Wouldn't it be great to have these kind of lesser seen, more unusual, and I'm sure if I read the book, which I might do, each of those characters has even more backstory and depth to them. So it would be great to see it. I think it'd probably be. I'm more interested in seeing a remake of this than I probably was to see a remake of Hellraiser.
Okay.
I think there's more to do with it. And we've seen Hellraiser. It is a film that is made. It is more realised than this, whereas I feel like it'd be great for somebody to have another go at this. Probably Clive Barker, really. Let him have a go at it, and let him have no outside interference from anyone. Yeah, and let him make it as long as he wants the film to be. Make it into a mini-series, put it on Netflix or whatever. Yeah, because I reckon it'd be really successful.
Yeah, they kind of did Hellraiser to death, really, didn't they? I can't even remember how many there were, about 8 of them, I think. But then...
Well, this is it. If you rank them, which one's everybody's favourite? The first one.
First one, obviously, yeah. Yeah. But then...
Whereas with this, there isn't 5 or 6 Nightbreeds, is there?
No. But then they did the remake of it last year, I think it was.
Yeah, last year.
And he was included in that one, and I thought that one was really good. I thought it was good. It was good, but it wasn't necessarily different.
Yeah, or needed.
It wasn't a straight remake, was it? It was
I'd be really interested to see what happens to Nightbreed. Yeah, like what would happen if he had another go at Nightbreed, and maybe had another collaborator working with him who he really trusted. Yeah, and like we say, made it over 3 parts or something, like a 3-hour. That'd be really interesting because again, they didn't manage it with X-Men either. They didn't. They've never managed. I know they actually made a Dark Phoenix film, and it wasn't as realised as the comic. It's very, very difficult to match a very detailed, well thought out. And I don't know this for certain about Cabal, but I imagine Cabal is a very personal and kind of gone really into minutiae of every character. I think, and if I'm wrong, please tell me if people who have read it and go, no, it's a 25-page pamphlet. But I think it would be really interesting to see what he could do with it now. Maybe he is. Yeah, he's got that in the pipeline.
Well, it did leave it open for more sequels, but obviously,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like it felt for me a bit like almost like a Prince of Egypt kind of let my people go. And,
I did read that Barker said he wanted to kind of make it more like a fantasy horror version of Star Wars, where they could literally just go on and on, making a whole world of mythical monsters that could have all types of, spin-offs and sequels and stuff. So
why not?
Cool. Right, should we do some trivia?
Yes.
Awesome.
Trivia. Oh, yeah.
So, the character played by David Cronenberg is named Dr. Philip K. Decker, a reference to sci-fi author Philip K. Dick Deckard, who was the last name of the protagonist in Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which was later adapted as Blade Runner in 1982.
Yeah. And Cronenberg does play him as a bit of a dick, so that works perfectly.
Yeah. Clive Barker has gone on record saying that he has felt that the distributor Fox and financiers Morgan Creek Productions never understood the film and simply cut the story to pieces so it would fit what their idea of the picture should have been.
Yeah. That makes sense. It ties in with what he was saying in his introduction to the DVD, and I think it's hard to market monsters, sympathetic monster film at that time. Now, we're more used to it in terms of mainstream exposure to comic books and a lot of things like that. So, yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, and this is 1990, isn't it?
Yeah.
So really, yeah, we're talking. It was a big thing. The big jump from, you have to remember, Batman 89. Everyone was just like, well, Batman, isn't that silly program with Adam West and like the like darker side of comics hadn't really been explored that much. So this is a kind of, for me, it feels like a sort of fantasy comic kind of reality. So it was probably just a bit, without sounding too cliche, a bit before its time.
Yeah.
They just didn't know what to do with it, like you say.
In the Bible, Midian was a land in which Moses lived for 40 years in self-imposed exile. It was in Midian that God appeared to Moses as the burning bush, telling him to go back to Egypt to free the Israelis.
Well, there's possibly then. I don't think I read that, but it's weird that I got the same Moses vibe.
Yeah. Well, there is a scene actually. I think it's when the guy goes down and he shoots Leisberg. Just before he shoots him in the head, I think he calls him Moses. Like, hey, Moses.
Oh, right.
So.
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm not as smart as I thought I was, but that's not a surprise. Because I was looking at it and thinking, like, there's so many different references in there. But I was thinking, because I've watched a few documentaries about the making of the Island of Dr. Moreau, and I got a kind of feeling of that as well, kind of strange. I mean, it's slightly different, but I got that kind of feel there near the end. And I also got like a disdain for the church out of the film. I think, or disdain for church and any kind of organized kind of, I don't know what the word is really, the authority. I definitely got that. I definitely got that. But that makes sense because I think Clive Barker that's his personality. I think he is that kind of anti-authority. You know, he's proud of who he is, and you know, I'd imagine he had more than probably lots of run-ins with sort of horrible authority figures who tried to crush his creativity and crush him for who he was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine he's not a massive fan of religion and probably quite enjoys playing around with religious figures and iconography and things like that in his stories, which he does a lot.
Yeah. So Leisberg, are you aware that Doug Bradley plays Leisberg?
Yeah.
So Leisberg's voice was originally redubbed, and an anonymous German actor for the correct accent voiced him, much to Doug Bradley's annoyance. However, in the director's cut, released in 2014, Doug Bradley re-recorded his dialogue as Leisberg, restoring his voice.
Oh.
So I think, yeah, the one that you watched would have been Doug Bradley's voice.
Right. I found it quite hard to pick him out, but I wasn't like going, where's Pinhead? So I can't see Pinhead.
Yeah, it does not look like him at all. He's got maybe because he's got a full head of hair. So
It's true. Yeah. I mean, he's not got like a Hellraiser t-shirt on.
yeah. All right, last one. I think you're going to like this one as well.
Okay.
Some of Nightbreed's inspired merchandise included a 25-issue Nightbreed comic book series.
Ooh.
And there was a couple of Nightbreed games for the home computer and books such as the Nightbreed Chronicles.
Yeah, my friend had Nightbreed for Commodore 64.
Okay.
I wrote that down. Yeah, and I don't think I ever played it.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was one. Oh, that's awesome.
That wasn't my piece of trivia, but yeah. I wonder if they were going to remake it, maybe they could adapt the comic books. I'd be interested in making it into a series. That'd be quite good.
Yeah.
Depends how good they are. I've not read them.
No.
They might be terrible.
All right, what have you got?
Go on, have you got any more trivia?
No, that was my last one.
Okay, I've got one.
Go on then.
So, Charles Hayde plays Captain Eigerman. Is Andy Renko the cop, tough guy cop, in Hill Street Blues, which was one of my favourite sort of police serials, the birth of all these kind of cop shows that you see now. It was like an absolute triumph. I remember learning about it at university when we were doing screenwriting as like kind of a perfect hour of TV. He's really good as Andy Renko in that. I did also write another little thing. I don't know if that's trivia, but I found that really interesting. The other thing, this definitely is trivia, that Sandman writer Neil Gaiman was an extra in this.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was pretty cool. He plays an extra in the club scene in the director's cut. So I imagine he's bopping around to that amazing song that I mentioned so much earlier on. But so yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
All right, yeah, cool.
If I don't say so myself.
All right, should we play a game?
Yeah. Oh, I've got a little game for you.
Oh yeah.
Well, not a game, a question.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it before or after the game music?
I'll play the game music. I've got a brand new music for the game.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to play a game.
Ooh. That was scary.
Creepy.
No, I don't. I don't want to play a game. End. Finn. Okay, so shall I do my question then before we get into your game? Because mine's literally one question.
Go on then.
Okay, so have we got, and now bear in mind, we have just had around, I've been adding it up, crunching the numbers, I think we've had about 1,000 listens, engagements with the podcast since we started, which is amazing. Thank you. If anybody is responsible for that, thank you.
Okay.
My question is, have we got more subscribers than the kill count in this film? So did more people die in this film than we have subscribers on, let's say, just on YouTube?
Just YouTube. Okay, so what have we got on YouTube? I think we got about 14, haven't we?
I'm not telling you. You should know that.
Okay, so just trying to think how many.
You're going through the whole
I'd say
director's cut of the film.
I want to say we've got more subscribers than the kill count.
I wish that was the case.
Oh,
but
really?
Sadly, no. There are 16 deaths in this film.
Oh, I went far off.
We are two, currently, I think, 2 or 3 below the thing. So, subscribe. Get us above that kill count. Because we want to be at Michael Myers level, or I'm trying to think of a film where there's lots of kills.
Well,
Jason, I guess.
think Spotify and YouTube have been quite equal.
Yeah.
They from yesterday. No, it was either last night or this morning. I think we both had 14, but we have add another one on Spotify. So Spotify, we got 15 people now.
Oh, okay. So, right, but still, that it's not good enough. I'm afraid. You lost. Okay.
Okay. All right. I lose.
What's what it's like to be me?
So I've just got a quiz for you. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions. Question number 1. What 1953 horror film was remade in 2005 with Paris Hilton in the lead role?
Oh, I know this. House of Wax.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, boy. Thanks, guys.
Number 2. What movie is based on a concept for an unproduced episode of The X-Files?
What movie?
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? The year? No.
No, just there's a movie that was that the concept was based on an unproduced episode of The X-Files.
Oh, right. Okay. Unproduced. I was going to say, because if they were going to make one out of an episode, they should do Tombs. The episode Tombs might be a good one for us to do as a full episode, actually, at some point. Yeah. The X-Files episode Tombs are amazing. But that doesn't answer your question. An unproduced episode of The X-Files. That could be anything. That could be anything. So I'm going to go with... Do you know the year? No?
Not. I would say early 2000s.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Supernatural. It's a TV show. I've got nothing. I don't know. Barbie. I don't know.
No, it was Final Destination.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I'll allow it. It's a film.
When Carrie takes the stage after her election as prom queen, bullies douse her in what kind of blood?
I think it's chicken blood, isn't it?
Nope.
Oh. I always thought it was chicken blood. Oh, man. What is it then?
It just makes it worse that I've got like a boo.
I know. Every week I'm just going to be getting booed out of the building.
It was pig's blood.
Oh, shit. Of course. Yeah, I knew that. Why did I say chicken blood? Oh, no. I did know that. Oh, man. Never mind. That's what they all say.
Okay. So, what is the actual name of Pinhead in Clive Barker's original novel, The Hellbound Heart?
See, John Pinhead. David Pinheadinson. Oh, you mean before he becomes Pinhead, like the...
I'm not sure if it actually says it in any of the other movies, but in the book, he's known as...
Yeah, it's sort of like Michael J. Pinheadinson. I don't know. Let's see.
Are you Googling it?
No. God damn it. IMDb, load.
No.
I don't know. I give up. Is it John Smith? I don't know. Oh, man. Dr. Payne. No, I don't know.
It is the Hell Priest.
Oh, the Hell Priest.
The Hell Priest.
So his name is Hell Priest. First name Hell, last name Priest.
Oh, no. That's what it says. The actual name of Pinhead.
The actual name. I guess because he's not... But yeah, it's weird because...
I don't think he has a name.
On IMDb, it says lead Cenobite for the first one. And then for all the others, it says Pinhead. But like Pinhead's almost like a nickname that like a fan-created nickname, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Let's call him Dirk Lylesberg.
In which film did Annabelle the doll make her debut?
Oh, shit. I don't know anything about modern films. Or films from the 80s, 70s, or 60s, apparently. Is it The Conjuring? Oh my, what a guess.
Hey! Well, we got 3 more. So, what is the actual name of...
So stressful.
What is the actual name of Chucky in Child's Play?
Charles? No. Oh, he has a name on the box.
No. You were right.
So it's Charles something.
Yeah, like who is Chucky?
Who is Chucky? Brad Dourif? Oh man. So Chucky's Ray?
You're Googling it, ain't you?
I'm not at all looking up Charles Lee Ray as the answer to that question.
I don't know whether to give you this cheer or not now.
You could boo me for cheating.
Well, I suppose you got Charles before you actually cheated, so...
Yeah, it's a few shots.
What is the demon's name in The Exorcist?
Oh, is it like Pizazu or something? I always forget this. I even almost met this person. I was going to say Zuzu, but that's the little girl from It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Is it Pizazu?
Yeah.
Pizazu.
I'll give it to you. I don't really know how to say it anyway. Pazuzu? Is that how you say it?
Pazuzu, yeah. The lady who does that was at some convention when I was... Yeah.
Yeah, she was at HorrorCon when I went.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, yeah. Pazuzu. Okay, last one. What is the name of the clown in The Devil's Rejects?
Oh man, I've not seen this. It's a Rob Zombie one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pazuzu, I think the thing was before. Captain something, Captain Spaulding.
Yeah.
That popped into my head, and I'm not looking on IMDb. Is that right? Yes. How did I know that? Captain Spaulding. How did I know that? Genuinely never seen that film. That's weird.
Okay, that's it. That is them all.
That was an ordeal getting through those questions and getting some of them right. I think I got like 3 right, maybe, or 4.
What did you get? You got House of Wax. You got The Conjuring. Yes. You got Charles Lee Ray, Pazuzu, Captain Spaulding. Yeah, you got 5.
5.
Yeah.
What a legend!
5 out of 8.
I only cheated on one of those. Well, that's amazing. Oh man. So,
cool.
It was good fun. Thanks for exposing me to Nightbreed.
Yeah. So
now I have to go and live in Midian. Thanks a lot.
Well, next week will be our 10th episode, and we are doing Friday the 13th.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Friday the 10th.
that won the camping poll pick everyone voted for. So that's what the people want to see. They want to see Friday the 13th.
10th poll. Yeah.
I can announce it's going to go up next week, but I can announce that the next poll pick is going to be a possession poll pick. So we've got The Exorcist, The Conjuring, and The Possession.
Okay, so I've seen one of those.
Oh, I wonder which one.
Yeah, I know. Which of the old one? The old one for an old man. So yeah, if you want me to watch a new film, you know what to do, guys.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it. That's all. That is a wrap.
All right. Thanks, Ben. That's
yes.
it.
Cut. If you've liked today's episode, be sure to go and like us on Facebook. That's where we announce our next episodes, as well as each month doing a themed poll pick where you get to choose what you want us to watch. We like to hear from you, so please feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you can even email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
I'll do some scary movie.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?